During the open beta for Diablo IV, players had the opportunity to go hands-on with the all-natural were-beast-morphing Druid class. While the wildly OP Necromancer arguably hijacked the spotlight during the second beta weekend, plenty of aspiring demon slayers sunk their claws into the unique shapeshifting, casting, and companion archetype. However, due to the limited nature of progression, fans seem unimpressed by the power output of the Druid. Now that the dust has settled and we're all forced to wait months to play Diablo IV again, we've spent some time analyzing the current state of the Druid class. According to our play sessions and the consensus from the passionate community, here are the best Druid builds, our thoughts on whether or not the Druid needs a buff, and what might change for the launch of Diablo IV. In many ways, the Druid is a beautiful fusion of several iconic classes from the Diablo universe. These nomadic soothsayers deliver the summoning prowess of the Necromancer, the casting capabilities of the Sorcerer, and the raw melee force of the Barbarian. With an impressive symmetry between damage and sustain, the Druid's versatility makes them an excellent pick for players who enjoy ranged and close quarters combat. Unlike their squishier magic-focused counterparts, this class uses its undeniable thickness to endure even the harshest encounters.
Oh yeah.
The primary attributes of the Druid are willpower, intelligence, and dexterity, with willpower easily being the most important. Intelligence boosts resource generation, which allows you to cast spells and abilities. Willpower increases your skill damage and overpower damage, which we'll talk more about later, and dexterity accelerates your critical strike chance. These are the most important stats to consider when equipping or swapping gear. Elemental casting is undoubtedly a draw for would-be Druid players. Still, the class's shapeshifting and companion talents are the key differentiators. Seamlessly transforming into a werewolf or were-bear provides exceptional augments to damage, health, and even movement speed. The Druid excels at crowd control thanks to an arsenal of ruinous, nature-driven attacks. Now, let's highlight an assortment of basic Druid builds successfully utilized in the beta. Due to the limited access to the Diablo IV beta, we unfortunately have a limited amount of footage to incorporate, but we'll do our best to demonstrate the fundamentals of everything covered in this video. There are three primary paths to specialize in with the Druid class: shapeshifting, casting, and companions. Let's start by dissecting the potent transformation powers of the Druid. When it comes to shapeshifting, werewolves seem to be the more popular pick in the beta because of its amplified critical strike chance and elevated mobility. For some players, the basic shapeshift skill Shred was the catalyst for committing to the werewolf tree, thanks to talents like Call of the Wild, which increases the critical strike chance by 8% or higher against wolf companion targets. While the werewolf may have been the crowd favorite, the were-bear was the master of crowd control. The towering stature of the bear transformation supplies increased range and devastating AoE abilities. Pulverize is a radial smash that hits all enemies within range and can be boosted with talents to increase overpowered damage and apply hard crowd control effects. The were-bear might be a little slower than the werewolf, but it won't matter when enemies can't escape your deadly bear hug. While the Druid can be identified as a melee-focused class, many players have celebrated the potential of casting builds by investing in the Storm Tree. Complementing Storm Strike with Tornado and Cataclysm doles out consequential long-range damage that can keep you out of harm's way. Storm Strike is a potent choice for a basic skill in this build because it can be bolstered with a 50% chance to apply the Vulnerable debuff to enemies. This bonus will increase the damage opponents take with future attacks. Combine Storm Strike with Tornado, which conjures a swirling tornado that deals damage, and Cataclysm, which unleashes a massive storm that follows you for 8 seconds to become a walking natural disaster. Much like the Necromancer, the Druid relies on companions to overcome the forces of evil. However, instead of monstrous reanimated corpses, the Druid calls upon wildlife to do their bidding. Crafting a viable companion build can be difficult and often hinges on critical bonuses offered by legendary gear, but there are ways to efficiently dispatch enemies with your furry and feathery friends. The skills fundamental for a reliable companion build are Wolves, Vine Creeper, and Ravens. Focusing your efforts on synergy with passive modifiers is crucial to maximizing your damage output. Invest in the Enhanced Wolfpack talent for Wolves, which increases wolf damage to immobilized, stunned, slowed, or poisoned enemies by 20%. For Ravens, it's worth choosing Enhanced Ravens, which increases critical strike chance by 6% against enemies hit by Ravens. And for the Vine Creeper, choose the Ferocious Vine Creeper, which increases Vine Creeper's active poisoning duration by 3 seconds. Following the beta, many Diablo fans shared their concerns that the Druid felt slightly underpowered. Compared to the massive damage the Sorcerer and Necromancer demonstrated, Druid devotees observed a notable imbalance in class performance. However, some prominent changes are coming with the full release of Diablo IV that should address these frustrations. Potentially, one of the most significant detriments to the damage output of the Druid in the beta was the omission of the special magical property, Crushing Blow. This passive buff enables a chance for stone spells to unleash bursts of staggering raw health damage. While the future of the perk remains unclear, it sounds like the team removed Crushing Blow from the beta due to balance issues. So, if reintroduced, this would dramatically improve damage possibilities. Another beneficial Druid mechanic disabled during the beta was the Spirit Boons. Upon completing a class-specific quest, players will be introduced to a system that rewards Spirit Boons for killing various enemies in the world. This allows you to give spirit offerings to ancestral spirits in exchange for permanent passive buffs. We don't have many specifics here, but it appears you can focus on distinctive trees including Stag, Bird, Wolf, and Serpent. Spirit Boons and Crushing Blow can feasibly address the criticism surrounding the lackluster introduction of the Druid in the Diablo IV open beta. While there are some genuine critiques regarding the current state of the Druid, players still uncovered one incredibly competent build. Unifying the intimidating force of the Werebear shapeshift form with a few vital abilities unlocks the most destructive Druid build we've seen in Diablo IV so far. The first ingredient of this saucy archetype is the Pulverize Werebear skill, which sees the player transform into a werebear and slam the ground, dealing damage to surrounding enemies. Modifiers enable an overpowered Pulverize every 10 seconds that stuns enemies damaged by the overpowered Pulverize attack. Landslide further supplements the unfiltered power of Pulverize by crushing enemies between pillars of earth. The base damage can be increased by 10% with additional levels, but extra talents can truly unleash the capabilities of Landslide. For example, when Landslide damages enemies 4 times, its next hit will immobilize targets for a few seconds. Stunning or immobilizing opponents will grant you Terra Motes, which can then be used to guarantee critical strikes with Landslide attacks that deal 40% bonus critical strike damage. What's especially compelling about this build is that you can use Pulverize to gain additional Terra Motes and supply a consistent flow of critical strikes. And if that isn't enough, abilities like Earthen Bulwark, which surrounds you with a barrier of rocks, can also be modified to grant a percentage of your base HP as Fortify, and Fortify will further boost your overpowered attacks. With the right equipment and this combination of passive buffs and skills, the Druid quickly becomes an unrelenting powerhouse. And there you have it. That pretty much covers all the good, bad, and hairy details of the Druid in Diablo IV so far. For more on Diablo IV, keep your eyes peeled on our ongoing coverage of this highly anticipated action RPG. And for everything else gaming, keep it here on IGN.